All right, let's call to order tonight's Board of Directors meeting for Montessori Peaks Academy at 6:32 p.m. on Tuesday, October 17th. Rebecca, if you could go ahead with roll call.
Yeah, just give me a sec. My laptop decided to die.
Kind of it.
Yeah, so trying to figure out everything on a small screen. So let me just pull up an actual piece of paper really fast. Okay, you read. You're on mute.
I'm here.
Okay. Emily?
Here.
Terry?
Here.
Justin?
I'm here.
Mercedes?
Here.
Ted?
I'm here.
Elizabeth?
Here.
And I am here. And I think Adam, I missed you.
Yes.
I think that's everybody.
Thanks. Okay, so community comments. I personally have not received any community comments or any requests from anybody to join the board meeting to do anything live. Has anybody else received any community comments?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. With that, Robin, I'm going to let you go ahead and jump into principal's report.
All right, can everybody hear me? Good. Okay. Good evening, everyone. All right, so I think everybody's got the document for staffing updates. Nick is out right now. We're still waiting to find out for how long. He's got to do a surgery. And Jen and I just interviewed a grandfather today that actually is going to, we think, if it works out, fill in until Nick is good to go. So we think we already have it covered. We'll have Nick, hopefully before the surgery, train him if all of his paperwork goes through, and then he'll be filling in on the things he's able to do. And we think it'll be enough to get us through this time period. Ms. Maria and Ms. Rissa's room. So her family's moving to New York. So we're currently interviewing. We had one interview. We've got a couple more candidates we're going to look at because we want to find the one that would be the best fit. So we'll keep looking at that, hopefully sooner than later. Enrollment update. It's still the final number still needs to be audited by Jeffco, and you've got it on the paper in front of you. It's very small actually, but the final number for the one-day count currently is 381.5. So I think that's higher than all the past years. I don't think it reached the number. Jen can fill in this. She knew what Gary was projecting. We've got a couple spots open in Upper L just because we had some transitioning, but other than that, we're full. According to Veronica, we're at the highest numbers we've ever been. So
I'm going to interrupt real quick and just add to that. My understanding is the budget was based off of 379, so that's perfect news for us.
Yep. We were actually hoping for a little more just to get some extra, but there's always some transition around this time period. So, there you have it. For community culture building. So we had Dewey's Dash. I don't know if everyone heard. I just talked to Caitlin today. She's very excited. She now thinks we've earned almost $62,000 with that, which is I think that beat last year, which we really weren't anticipating with the economy and just how everything is right now. So pretty excited about that. So she'll be looking at revamping that playground because I think we talked about last time, it's not quite to code. It's starting to get age and we need to update some things. And once those tent buildings get moved out, we can really make that playground look nice. I've been working with Caitlin, the PTA also. We were debating parent education nights. And so what we decided to do, because we don't want to do an extra meeting, is we want to attach it to the actual PTA meeting. So what our plan is to do is each month to do 45 minutes of a PTA meeting. And we've had a pretty good turnout lately. and then do 45 minutes, probably like 30 minutes of PD, and then a question or answer session after that. The first one is going to be ECAT and Beth doing Montessori 101, because I don't think that's been done in a while. So, you know, as we go forward, we're going to be getting input from parents and also teachers to see what we think would be the most beneficial. Some topics have come up, like neurodiversity, cell phone safety or technology safety, because that's always a big one with the older students. So things like that. But if you also have any ideas, definitely email me, because we're looking for, you know, some brainstorming on that. Fall conference update. Teachers are a little tired right now, but they're almost done. So they'll be excited to have their fall break, but I think the conferences went really smoothly. Teachers have been doing them all month, really. And, you know, sometimes 2 conferences per family. So they've really been working really hard and really just trying to communicate with parents how their child is doing and what daily life is in the classroom. So very impressed with their dedication. This is the time of year when all teachers across the nation, because of fall conferences and things, are pretty exhausted. So this fall break is perfect timing. It'll be a nice reset. And I think kids feel the same way about fall break time. So the staff, that brings us to the staff work day. So this day was set aside for conferences. So teachers did not have to spend all month doing them after hours and things. They could have scheduled a lot of their conferences on this day. So it was really up to them. Some of them will be finishing up conferences that day. Some of them worked a lot of extra overtime during the month. So then they'll be using that as a comp day if that's what they did. But then the rest of us will be there no matter what. So, so I'll be there. Let's see, middle school update. So we're pretty excited. We're in the midst of planning. We've already scheduled 2 parent information nights, one on the October 26th and one on December 7th. We really felt under the crunch because December is when open enrollment is. So we really wanted to get a jump on that. And so I've been meeting with Robin and Beth, sorry, and really working on what we want to present. One of the things that really we've been discussing, because lately I go to every meeting and people will say things like, oh, well, the middle school, that'd be a great project for middle school. So they're like offering up middle school for all these things, but it's not the middle school team. So I told them, you know, we better define the vision of middle school for our school. Otherwise, somebody will define it for you. So right now we're working on solidifying that. It's my understanding originally, I think people were thinking like the middle school would emulate a regular middle school, which is not our intention. We want a Montessori middle school. And we don't necessarily want to emulate Compass. We might use aspects of Compass, but this is a different community and a different population. And we really want to do what works for this population. So some gardening things, but also some exploring some STEAM kind of topics and really letting the kids guide it. I had a great conversation. I had to cover middle school lunch today. So I had a great conversation with the group. It was nice because I got to sit with them for a whole hour. They're always fun to talk to. And I really got some input from them, like, why, you know, are you happy with the middle school? How's, you know, what's good about being in a small middle school? And really, I got nothing but positives from them. And they gave some good insight about how they get more individualized instruction. They used their words, not mine. And I asked them if the friend group was too small right now, and they all seem very content. They say, we don't have any problems. When we do, we solve them quickly. They really like Mr. Rhett and Miss Angie, so they're really excited. So that was a good conversation. So going into that parent presentation, it will be targeted to 5th and 6th grade parents, 5th grade parents if they want to start thinking about this. We're not going to open that up to the entire community because we really want to focus on trying to retain our own students and really trying to keep the Montessori model as MPA has it as pure as possible, because if you start bringing too many from the outside, it is really hard to hold to that because they just don't have the same training. So that's where we're headed with that. The first one on October 26th really will be the main informational night. That December one, which is right before enrollment, we're going to open it up a lot more to question and answer. And just if they, you know, hopefully it'd be nice if we get into the building. So October, well, Irit's going to get us pictures for the slideshow. But in December, if it's possible, we'll see if we can take a tour. If not, we'll just show more pictures and that's fine. The students are very excited about the building as well. So any questions about the middle school nights? Good, okay. So the lockdown, we had one. It's a good thing because we had to have one in first semester. So we just did it on, what day was that? Monday. We did, unfortunately, the only time slot we could get was at the end of lunchtime, but the staff was great. They're very flexible and we worked around it and Shannon was great. So we had really prepared, like teachers had really prepared the classes. They were asked to show a video from Jeffco, not to the primary so much, but really first grade and up. And we had an accidental one the week before. Somebody accidentally pushed the button in the office. So it was actually good because we had a practice one and then we had the real one. And so we worked out any kinks. We actually had the Jeffco security. They came around, walked around. They actually checked each room and made sure they didn't open the door until they looked through the window to see if they could see any students. And there was only like 1 or 2 classrooms where you could just see the very edge of students. So they do this to just kind of give feedback. And so gave those classrooms feedback and really just sat with me for 30 minutes and talked about other ways we can, you know, think about safety in the school. So it went really well. I had just a couple parents reach out about primary. They were worried about anxiety. Our teachers do such a great job, and those primary teachers, I love what they do. They, I think the way they address it is they say we have to practice a lockdown in case a moose gets into the building, and like they talk about an animal as opposed to a person. So the kids they seemed really happy during a lockdown, actually. So I really felt like students were not anxious. I think teachers prepared them well, and it really ran pretty seamlessly. So every school in Jeffco had to have one of these done first semester. In second semester, we'll do more of a secure, like a storm drill where we, you know, have to go down the hallway because there might be a tornado coming kind of thing. I'm trying to think. I did have on here for board consideration, one thing the security team brought up to me. So the mainstream schools in Jeffco give keys. The district has access to the doors. So they have a set of keys or it's somewhere on the building. They said some of the charter schools, like the head man, Bill Robbins, his children go to 2 roads, and they have a lockbox in their vestibule so that security officers, like whether it be Jeffco police or Jeffco safety and security or the police could access the building. And he said the benefit to this is if they don't have keys and can't access your building, they will bust the door down and there will be a lot of damage. You know, so that's something I think that we need to consider because we don't have that right now. He also talked about the possibility of providing them a fob to the building because that allows them access at any time. So I don't know how the board feels about that. To me, it makes sense because if we have a problem and we're stuck in there, they can access the building and help us out. But I don't know how the board feels. And we can discuss that later if that's something you need to discuss later. So everybody just think about that. And then in the important dates coming up, really, they're counting the money right now. Caitlin's really excited for the Dewey's Dash. And then, of course, the fall break. We've got middle school information night, the trunk or treat, which I'm excited to attend. I've heard it's great and well attended. And really excited about the Veterans Day Assembly. We really wanted Dr. Gary to come as well. But he's living the life of a retired person and he's out of town. So he cannot come to the Veterans Day Assembly. So really things are like running smoothly and I think everybody will have a nice little reset from the fall break. I think we'll all feel that. And then we'll go into the holiday season, which will be equally as exciting. So any questions? And Areed, I don't know at some point if we need to talk about that and vote on that. That is something, I think he had a valid point about access to the building.
A fob situation.
Yeah.
Okay. The fob is quick and easy to do as far as I understand. Veronica issues them. She records which fob goes to who. She's able to track in the system when it was used. So she knows who accessed the building if she's wondering who came in and out at different times. The lockbox obviously would need to be a purchase. I don't know how expensive those are and where you get them. It may be very minimal. It may not be. So I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like one of the things, I mean, these guys are pretty professional. This is all they do. Like they're not going to come in the building for fun per se, you know? So if a teacher, a lot of those teachers work on the weekends and at night, and if they ever made a 911 call and something had happened, nobody can get in right now unless they've got that. And so they will bust the door and it'll break a lot of things. And that's how it is because they'll come in to help somebody.
I like the idea of the lockbox better personally, because I think no matter which agency we need to have come to the building to check it out,
yeah,
they could get in, but a fob, only one person has that and it's in one location.
Right.
So
yeah, I was wondering if we want to give like Jeffco a fob, like the Jeffco security, not the police, but the Bill Robbins.
School security.
Yeah. And then he said a lot of charter schools will put a lockbox in that vestibule. So right in that first glass door, they'll put a lockbox with the keys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something to definitely consider.
Mhm.
Should probably price it out just to understand what we're looking at before the board has to make a choice. Sounds good. Thank you for all that information. Lots of good news. Moving on to the building across the street, North Building update. There's nothing big to update. The construction is moving forward. I'll get pictures for the info night. The big thing that we need to talk about is the roof. We need to kind of come to a decision on the type that we would like to do. Hopefully everybody had a chance to look at the information in the folder I had put together for the board. Terry and I met with the company the Monday after the last board meeting where we talked about the different contracts we were presented with. I had a pretty good feeling with the way that the person answered our questions. I felt like they were pretty thorough. It did not feel like a sales pitch. The person knew that no matter what we chose, we needed to choose a roof. So they weren't trying to sell us either way. They were trying to answer questions is what my feeling was. So I don't know if people have specific questions based on what they read. Terry put together a good job of putting notes together for us from that. So thoughts, questions, directions, if people want to go in. Terry, you can jump in anytime if you want to.
I just agree with the read. I think that the company representative is very good about just answering the questions and giving us details and what we could expect from one versus the other. So plus I did some more research on the types and pros and cons and stuff as I went, and that's what was in the notes. So if there's any specific questions about one or the other or any of the details or terminology, let me know.
No, I think everything looked good. For my part, just appreciate the detailed information from AVI and obviously Arit and Terry. Thanks very much for getting those follow-up questions answered, meeting with them personally. So I'm supportive of the lean and the recommendation that you'd written down. So it all looked good to me.
Yeah, and the problem, really the big problem is that there's really not a clear-cut winner. There's not something you can say, if I live in Denver and have this type of roof slope and that kind of thing, pick this one. It really comes down to kind of a judgment call based on multiple things, like, a little bit about the weather and, impact resistance, but also about maintenance and, long-term ability to take care of it and those sorts of things. So it really comes down to, what do we feel as a group is going to be the best for us. And that's kind of what I base my recommendation on. But it's really obviously up to the board. If you have other discussion points or you want to talk about something specifically, let me know.
I'm fine going with what Terry has kind of outlined as his recommended path. I think, Terry, I think you probably have the most experience in this area out of all of us. And that looks pretty reasonable.
Do people understand the optional things that we could do or not do, no matter which roof we end up getting? So one is replacing the coping cap metal. The other one is to furnish and install standard colored TPO walkway around the HVAC units, and that's so you don't ruin the roof when work needs to be done on any of those units. And then the last thing was furnishing and installing new skylights. The only one that I went back and forth on was the skylights personally. The building does have skylights. Obviously they're aged. So it doesn't make sense to have them done while we already have people up there. We already have, I feel like long-term, it makes sense to do it. I could be swayed either way.
And that's the reason I suggested doing them all is if you do them now, they will fail eventually. So if we do them now, we extend that time out to where we have to have somebody on that roof. We have to be doing things to the membranes. And so to me, it just seemed to make sense now to do it. Well, everybody's mobilized. It'll be the least amount of damage or impact on the roof, and it'll be the least amount of maintenance going forward.
Anybody have any hesitations about any of it before we take it to a vote?
As far as budget, do we have room in the budget
So-
for all three options, or is there a recommendation about?
The money would come from reserves. We do have the money in the reserves. And we also know obviously it's going to be audited by Jeffco, but with the count that we have so far for October, our budget's not going to take a hit due to our count being lower than we had estimated. So that's one point. And the other piece of it is, this was not something that was estimated for the building when we started the construction project. In my opinion, it should have been done right away, so we didn't incur any water damage on the building, but it's going to have to come out of the reserves number. And at least we know that the ongoing budget for the school is not going to take a hit at all this year. It's a lot bigger than in the past. So Jen would just work with the district and have it pulled out from there.
That's correct.
So I guess quickly on budget, I just note, so things that aren't included, getting HVAC moved, just lifted so the roof can be taken care of, do we need to find somebody to do that, or can our current contractor handle that piece? Or?
So my understanding is that I asked if there was anything on the roof that needed to be taken down or moved in order to do the roof, that they do very accurate measurements and they deal with it and put it back as part of the contract. Does that sound right, Terry?
That's correct, yes.
The only thing they were concerned about is if there was some specific digital kind of antenna or satellite dish that we were getting some kind of receiving on, that sometimes moving those by like half an inch can mess with it, but we don't have anything like that to worry about.
Cool.
What are the timelines for permitting currently?
So at the time that we met with the representative, they said that they were, Terry, now I'm trying to remember exactly how many weeks. I remember that he said in terms of materials, it would be about 10 business days. They had a lot of what they needed. They would have to order a couple of things, but their estimated time was 10 business days or less to get everything. It's more a matter of their schedule. And my understanding is they could start by the end of October at the time that we met with them just over a week ago. If another project has had a contract signed between now and then, we would be put after that contract. So my hope is that that stays the same and they can get going pretty quickly. I also talked to them about working with HPM. The HPM is going to want the roofing guys to go through the safety orientation and just to collaborate in terms of who's using what side of the building and, you know, that kind of stuff. But they felt pretty comfortable with that, and so did HPM. HPM is a construction company in charge of that project. So I don't know the exact timeline. I can tell you I'm going to be sending an email tonight if we approve something, and a follow-up phone call in the morning to make sure it was seen and say, can you put me on your calendar today?
And there's no, I guess what I was asking about was permits from city or county or wherever those come from in that area.
They pull them. We don't have
But,
to do any of that.
Right, but are those pretty quick right now? They don't have any backlogs of,
I don't
it
know.
doesn't take them a long time to get roof permits.
The person we spoke to confirmed that we are unincorporated Jeffco.
Mhm.
We're not City of Littleton. And that affected kind of how he answered the question about the type of roof that we might be required to use. There are certain areas that require certain things based on wind or other, you know, if you're in downtown Denver with TPM is white and it reduces energy usage and whatnot. So, he didn't sound like he was concerned about it. Can't make any promises. I mean, that would be it, no matter who we chose and what contract we choose, it's going to be the same.
Oh, yeah, just curious, because I know they go through phases where those things back up and it can take a while.
I don't know where we're at with that.
He didn't mention it when we talked about permits for a bit, and he didn't mention any issues with, or he didn't seem to have any issues with going and getting it. So I would not assume with a project like that, it's not going to, it's not going to be like the whole school project that we're working on. So it's going to be a little bit easier since it already exists and they have information on it. So, but like Garit says, with government, there's no promises. So it didn't seem like there was any issue with it.
So, everything looks really good to me. I think it all looks really thoughtful and comprehensive. I appreciate you guys working so hard on this. If the budget sustains it, I think it does make a lot of sense to do all three. The skylights, I know that a lot of times when you install skylights, that if you don't do it right, that you can create new leaks, and I think it makes sense just to try to get it all done at once.
I'm fine with all of that. I'm just gonna leave it to you guys when you feel like you guys are ready to move forward and with which one.
I'll make a motion to take option number 2 with all three of the options associated with it. I mean, option number 2, I'm sorry, the TPO roof with all three of the options to go with it.
Or a second.
Rebecca, I know you're probably gonna have to write it down, but when you're ready, let's vote.
Okay. Adam,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Erie,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Mercedes,
Yes.
I am a yes, Ted,
Yes.
and Terry.
Yes.
And that's everybody.
Okay, so sounds like motion passes for us to replace the roof on the north building utilizing AVI roofing with option 2 for scope and all 3 optional additions that were within the contract. All right.
So I'd have a quick ask on that too, just as things progress, if we could get an update on the amount of insulation being replaced, and that feels like an area of potential surprise. So just anything that may not be a huge number, but just as it evolves.
My understanding from the representative is that the type of insulation we have is a type that does not allow the water to continue to spread. It kind of absorbs it and stops. So they're anticipating a smaller square footage rather than all of the insulation based on the amount of leakage that they have found. Now, if there were past leaks that they didn't include in that, it would be higher, but it was good news that that was what they were looking at.
Awesome. Good. Yep. Hope it holds. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thanks, Terry, for all your work on that.
No worries.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
it was
Thank you.
super helpful to have you a part of that meeting and know what questions to ask. I will, after this meeting is over, email the rep that we have as follow up with a phone call tomorrow. I will also email the current contractors in the building so they know who they're working with, so that everybody can be talking to each other and working together. So with that, so that's it on the north building. So I'm going to move over to committee reports, finance.
Is Justin here tonight?
He
I am,
is.
yes.
Hi, Justin.
Aye.
Okay, can Adam, you either bring up the budget versus actuals or allow me to share my screen, please?
Either way you want to do that is either way you want to do that is fine. If you share your screen, it'll make it a little easier for everybody on this video to be able to see it.
Okay, let's do that. Do you have to give me permission or I just share it?
Just share it.
There we go. And let me know when you see it.
It's there.
See it.
Perfect. Okay, now you guys are in the way. I can't see my screen. How do I move you guys? There we go. Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is our budget versus actuals through 9:30. That's an error. That should say 9:30. We are at 25% of the budget or quarter of the year. Like Robin did mention, we came in at 381.5, so that'll raise our PPR income here. When we revise the budget, I'll go ahead and make that correction. Being at 25% of the budget, that's what you basically want to see in the 3 or 4 groups we have. So this is our income. We're at 24%. This is our salaries. I jumped over them too fast. 24%. Benefits and salaries, 24%. So we are right on target there. The next group is purchase services, and we're at 27, so a little high. Again, this one has some of the front-loaded costs. Next is materials and supplies, and again, we are at, oh, that didn't give me a total. I don't know exactly, but everything is looking good still. This following month, I'll work with Justin and the finance committee on revising it with our new total count. I should have a confirmed PPR number. This budget is still keeping us in the ratios we need to be. We need to be at 1.2. The budget has 2.2, and we're currently at 1.3. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to take a look at this, if you had any questions or comments or concerns. These items that were too high in, that's what we'll adjust, move the buckets around, as I say, move the water in the buckets.
Jen, what was that monitors and the one that's at 1,300%? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we didn't budget for purchasing any computers or technology, but our IT company, Intelitech, was offering us used computers that were 10 times better than the ones we had. And so we went ahead and made the decision to purchase those, knowing we had money. We would just have to move money around.
Okay, for the office.
And so you look at it, it's like $1,300. But we got, I want to say like 25 computers.
Okay. Okay.
So it was great. And monitors and mice and keyboards, and it's been wonderful. They literally just charge us a little bit of money and then the shipping.
Excellent. Great. Thank you.
Again, this is Justin. Do you have an idea of where that might be shifted from? Do you have some areas within the budget that you're thinking that'll come from?
Yeah, so I'm running through like the instructional materials right here. We've purchased a ton already. I don't think I'm gonna need, another $70,000. We do the bulk of it the first couple months. So I can take from there. There's some other areas that we're low in. Like for whatever reason, our unemployment insurance, I was just using a number that was in the budget from last year that I didn't know, but look, we're only at 12%. So I'm going to watch that one, but I might have $4,000 or $5,000 there.
Do we pay that annually, Jen?
No, I do it quarterly.
Oh, okay. So projected, that's that number times about 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. That answers my question. You don't have to go line by line.
Okay. But that's what I do. I basically look at where we're low. And so this is a good example right here. So this 900, we spent so much money on biodegradable, supplies for Miss Shannon to put the food in. But this year, knowing that we were going to triple the amount of meals we were serving, we opted to purchase a new dishwasher, and she's using trays now. She can do like a load in 90 seconds or something. So she's using reusable trays, which is even better than, you know, biodegradable, compostable stuff. Totally reduces the amount of garbage. And I'm sure I won't spend $20,000 in supplies. I mean, that's a lot of sporks.
Jan, Elizabeth here. Could you explain the 22-23 yearbook refund? What's for the resale of the MPA
Yes.
yearbooks?
So basically over the summer, I received a check, which was basically our cut of the sales of the yearbooks from last year. So I put it through as a vendor refund because it's really not income per se. It's our portion of what was sold. So once we pay for yearbooks this year, that number will go to a positive. Because this is an expense. So even though it's a minus, it's positive. I have a credit of 1677.30 in this fund, in this account.
Any other questions from anybody?
Great job, Jen. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you ever have anything, just shoot me an email.
Marketing. Anything new from you guys, especially as we get ready to head into registration time in December?
Yep, we had a meeting on the 12th of this month. We are figuring out how to use the digital sign. There's about a 40-page booklet that Heather has got her hands on, and we're going to figure out how to schedule the calendar and get more than just our name out there on that front sign. Well, we're working with Veronica on some trusted folks that we can hand the very brittle, delicate letters to for the analog sign and start updating that. I know it still talks about Dewey's Dash, and it's just Veronica's. I know most of the front office is overloaded right now, so we're trying to see if we can help her. I think we might be short a few of those letters just because they've gotten tired and brittle and broken over the years. So we're also working on figuring out what the size is and ordering some more of those, and we'll probably we'll be hitting you up on the marketing budget there, Jen, as well. So we'll figure out what that costs. They're not ridiculously priced. We're also looking at a potential student communications committee that I believe Principal Robin will be talking to Heather about here in the near future. I show it was supposed to be on the 13th in case Principal Robin's just hearing that for the first time. We're also going to work with Heather on creating and cutting down the calendar so we can get items up on that analog board and the digital board, just to get more communication moving on the opportunities we have at the moment. As for the registration window, we've got a target deadline of getting a mailing out on December 4th. We actually did it right after the new year last year, so we're going to shoot for earlier and before the holiday. Right now I'm working on some postal service demographics. We're going to target the schools that took a lot of the outflow from the closing schools, because we're hearing a lot of rumbling from families that are looking for alternative options because of the growth of those classrooms. Again, it's just putting our dollars in the best possible places. Not that we're looking to overflood our classrooms as well, but more so it's just letting people know we exist, and it's awareness, which is one of the key purposes of continuing the direct mailing, making everyone aware of the registration windows and when those are open. And one of the things we're looking at, and the committees come together on, is just pain points, like myths about Montessori Peaks Academy or Montessori education. One of the biggest ones I think we discussed multiple times in these meetings is that MPA is free. So many people think it's a pay to play school or what have you. It's a private school, that kind of thing. So homeschooling is another big one that we're going to probably make and highlight. Matter of fact, we've had some good homeschooling growth, so we want to continue to push in those areas. But overall, that's kind of the plan. And our next meeting is October 26th, and we've got a pretty solid committee of a few folks. And if somebody's interested in watching this now, they're welcome to reach out to myself or to Miss Heather in the hallways, or to Adam is on that committee as well. And I know I'm forgetting people. Melissa's on it, and I believe I think Tom joined us too from PTA, or he's kind of our PTA liaison, we should say. So that's all I've got for you now.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Any updates from SAC?
The next SAC meeting is October 23rd. So no updates from SAC.
Okay, sounds good. Moving on to grievance committee. Emily, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this since it's Emily.
Sure. Okay. So just one quick question before we turn to that. I was going to go through the board calendar, and there's a couple items that I think Jen Webb, I need to ask Jen Webb about, just since she might not stay on past the grievance stuff. Can we just go over those items just really quickly?
I'm fine with that if everybody else is okay with that. If you can nod your head or give me a thumbs up just to make sure everybody's in agreement.
Thanks, everyone. So I'll just go over the financial ones for now, and we can come back to the other ones later. I'm looking at the September deadlines because I missed the September meeting. So I just want to make sure I have notes in there. So from September, there was a task item of submit certificate of no default to Zions Bank.
Done.
Okay. Annual trustee fee of $3,000 due to Zions.
Done.
That was in September. Okay. And then the other ones are October. Compare final FTE count and budget for district compliance.
That's what we're in the middle of now.
That's what we're working on now.
Yeah.
And send quarterly financials to PNC Bank. I have a note from last year that this is no longer required. So maybe we can remove that.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And that was all the financial stuff.
Yay.
Okay. Thank you.
As soon as Zion September hits, they start asking for their fee and their certificate. So
I figured you were on top of it.
Thanks.
Okay, so we have a couple grievance items to discuss, and I believe the plan is to enter into executive session to have that discussion. So I think we need a motion to enter executive session. I could give that motion if that works. Okay. So I move that the board enter executive session under CRS 246402-4F to discuss personnel matters.
A second.
I'll second.
All right, Adam,
Yes.
is this, so Elizabeth,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Erie,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Mercedes,
Yes.
right, I am a yes, Ted,
Yes.
and Terry.
Yes.
Okay, that's everybody, and motion passed.
Okay, so before Adam pulls us into a private room for the executive session, I just want to make note for everybody, this is not a hearing, this is not a decision-making place, but this is just for us to be able to update everybody on the board as to the grievances that came in without having to talk in weird ways. So we just want to be able to use names. One of the ones came to everybody on the board, so it'd be nice to give an official update as to where things are at and then move back out of executive session. So I just want to make that really clear. But this isn't any kind of hearing, it's just an update for everybody.
And read correct, you still want me not in the executive session, correct?
Correct, because no decisions are going to be made.
Yeah.
It's just an update for everybody who is on the board, and then we'll come back out.
Evie, does that include me or am I, because it's
Personnel.
personnel?
Emily, thoughts?
I think probably not, just
Okay.
because it
I would
is
abstain from this one.
other staff
Absolutely.
members.
But I gotta be honest, Elizabeth received the first one.
She did, yep.
So I would like her to get an update as to the status because she already knows about it.
And
then
I trust that
exit
Elizabeth,
executive session at that point.
yeah, and I trust that Elizabeth can keep her board hat on.
For that part, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Ari, one more question. So you guys are gonna leave for a while. Do I need to stay on for the?
That's an
final?
Adam question with the tech part.
Give me a second. Yeah, I'm gonna hit the button right
I
here.
know I do.
Okay, I hit executive session. Let me make sure.
notes, Evie, do I need to make a
I would
list
just
on
say,
everybody motioned for this?
no,
Say-
not. I would just put the time because technically that happened in.
In executive session. Okay.
Yeah, and it was just a vote to come out of it. Like it's not any other decision. Obviously, we don't
Okay,
make
just wanted
decisions
to make sure.
in executive session. Everybody. Hello, Miss Elizabeth.
Okay.
Everybody's now updated on what's going on. And we can keep going. It's still grievance committee time,
Yeah.
but this is about a
The grievance committee
policy.
show.
Yes, it is.
So those of you who have been on the grievance committee before are familiar with the current grievance policy, which is clear as mud. It is extremely difficult to navigate. It's got like crazy deadlines in it where like if something's filed, the principal has to review and make a decision within 7 days. It's just, I don't know where all of that came from, if that was based on something that happened or so I did kind of a review of what other schools do as far as grievance policies and kind of tried to find other examples out there to see if I could find a way to make it a little bit more straightforward, easier to use for us, for parents, for everyone. And so the draft that was in the materials is kind of the product of that. As you'll see, it's just a lot more straightforward. The old grievance policy had, different pathways you had to go down if it was a grievance against the principal or, some other thing. And it was way too hard to follow. So this is pretty straightforward. I can go through it briefly, but basically, same goals, which are to resolve things at the lowest level possible. So that the board is not always involved in everything. That the scope of the policy is basically grievable matters, which are things that the board or there are allegations that someone within the school did not follow guidance or did not follow school policy, basically, or any laws or regulations that apply to us as a school. So it's not minor things that just don't rise to that level. So it basically says we have this grievance committee, all written grievances should come to the grievance committee. In the old policy there were conflicting things about whether or not the grievance should actually go to the principal first. But this says basically everything should come to the grievance committee. The grievance committee looks at the grievance, figures out if it's, if it makes an allegation that is a grievable matter. And then the grievance committee can look into it more. The grievance committee can decide if it's something that we can move forward as a grievable matter, then we can refer it back to the principal. The principal can work to informally resolve it and update the board. If the grievance committee determines that it is not a grievable matter, then it would basically go back to the principal for their review. If it is a grievable matter, the principal would review it and provide a written response to the grievance committee about how it has been handled so far. We would report in the board meeting. We could gather any additional information, talk to legal counsel, move forward with an investigation if needed. And then we'd kind of have our process as a board for figuring out how to move forward. So it's a lot more straightforward. If you have any questions or suggestions, definitely open to that. I don't think it's something we have to approve like right now, but it would be great to have it in place sooner rather than later, just to make it a little bit easier on us moving forward. Any questions?
I think the policy looks really good and the procedures you set out are good and follow-ups. I like it. I'm supportive.
Thank you for fixing something that needed it. Having
Yeah.
dealt with it in the past.
Oh, it was, yeah. I will say too, this is the community grievance policy. The staff grievance policy is also very convoluted and probably needs to be updated as well. But I figured we should just start with this, and we can take this and plug it into the staff grievance policy, and we can update that as a board as well. But I thought maybe we'd just start with this one. Do we want to move ahead with this now? Do people feel like they need more time?
I'd be happy to move ahead with it now.
Okay. I will motion that the board approve the recently updated community grievance policy that was in the board packet.
I'll second.
Adam,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Rebecca, if you're still talking, I can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Reed. Can you hear me now?
Now
Yes.
we can, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are you a yes, Reed? I'm sorry.
I am. And yes, I
Okay.
can hear you.
I'm sorry, you guys. If my phone breaks, I'll just have like the trifecta of things not working today. Justin.
Yes.
And just so you guys know, I've been doing this in alphabetical order. So if you want to like unplug or unmute as I'm going through, that's the order I'm doing this in. Mercedes,
Yes.
I am a yes. Ted
Yes.
and Terry.
Yes.
All right, that's everybody, and I think motion passed.
Yay.
Thanks, everyone.
One more thing on the grievance committee. It's not
Yes.
on there, but the grievance committee is a rotating committee of 2 board members. And then obviously talking to Ms. Robin as needed and looking in at situations, but it rotates every 6 months. So you're on there for a year. Adam came on in June. Emily came on last December. So in December, she will roll off and we'll need a new board member to take her spot, preferably not a staff member, simply because if it's a staff grievance, that puts you in a weird position. And I'm going to say Justin and I are out simply because we recently served on the grievance committee for that purpose. So somebody who has not done it, just start thinking about if you're willing to step on, because that happens in December. So
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Ms.
Irit,
yeah.
do you want me to save this somewhere, or like how do we keep track of
It needs to be loaded into the board docs in the
board docs?
Okay.
Okay.
There should be a policy folder, hopefully, but
Yeah.
either way, it will remain in the folder of the board packet for tonight's meeting.
And does it get posted anywhere on the school website, or
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Figure that out. We can look into that.
Okay. Sounds
But
good. I'll at
first-
least save it in that folder.
Yeah. And oh, where is it? Let me pull it back up on my screen. It doesn't say draft on it, so yeah, it's good to go. We just have to figure out if it may get posted somewhere on the website. It should be technically somewhere. So we can also check with Heather and see if there's a specific spot on the website that it makes sense for it to be, but it needs to be accessible.
Yeah. Most schools do have it somewhere on the website, because that's how I was able to find the other examples. So,
Okay. So we need to get with Heather and figure that piece out.
okay.
Okay, so moving on, monthly meeting attendance. We heard a little bit about Dewey's Dash, but Ted, I didn't know what else there is.
Yeah, I think that was the highlight. So they raised over $60,000 and money's still coming in. So that's awesome. really exceeded goals previous years. So huge thanks to everybody that participated. Obviously, everyone's friends, family, community members that help support the school. That's a huge number. So that was really exciting. Now, looking ahead from that, they are going to be looking from some of the prizes that they're going to award. They're going to need some volunteers. And I think there's going to be a request going out for that. But some of those items, there's going to be ice cream social, glow in the dark party, different movie nights, a ninja night, and some other events. So if folks are able, or they'll be looking for volunteers for that. Other items, Robin also mentioned the trunk or treat, which is coming up, that PTA will help with. And let's see, at the meeting last week on the 10th, they had 4 grant requests that they reviewed and voted on. The ones that were approved, there's going to be an authors event with 3 presentations coming up with books. It sounds like it's going to be a neat thing that they're going to do for different grade levels. They have approved babysitters for the PTA meeting nights so that folks can attend even if they can't find babysitters for the kids. So that's a good thing. And then there's a newsletter user was approved. Otherwise, I think, yeah, more events coming up, but I think we've probably touched on all of them in other situations. So yeah, good news on Dewey's Dash though. Big deal.
Sounds great. JCSC, I have nothing since our last meeting because we haven't met. Next meeting is November 8th. If anybody would like to join me, I don't have a location yet, so I still need to get that. It's at 5:30. Board calendar, we did most of it already, I think.
Yeah, there's a couple things. So these are still things from September. I am not sure what this refers to. Appoint committee members.
It's to make sure we haven't already done so, that we appoint
We've already done
members
that.
to any committees, and I think we're in a good place. We try and do that in the summer.
Let's see, the next few ones are definitely done. Review and submit school safety plan with board FEMA template.
Probably just email Robin.
Email
to see
Robin.
if that's something
Yeah, that's a
been done.
principal one. Identify any board members who need to attend legal training offered by the district in October.
So
This was a September item.
In the past, the district has offered a yearly legal training for board members. I have not heard anything about it this year, and it could be because of the changing of the guard with the executive charter position and revamping what that looks like. I can ask her if there's going to be, usually if there is one, there's a recording of it and I can send that out to people. So I can email Teo Adiko and just see what happened and if there will be
that would be great. Okay, so all right, Irit, we'll check with Jeffco.
Yep.
And even for like returning board members, I feel like it was useful to, I mean, it might be useful to have a refresher on everything. Okay, the other few were things that Jen already did. Review strategic plan progress. Do we want to schedule some follow-up on the strategic plan?
So Carrie did a lot of work to get started on that. I haven't sent it out yet because things have been really crazy for me. So if somebody wants to step up and take that over and work with Terry, I'm happy to give it away. I'll be honest, I don't have time to do that right now.
What are we envisioning? Like another planning session? I mean, more.
I wanted to give Robin a year at the school before she had input into a strategic plan. I also wanted it to not be completely ignored because the application for renewal of the charter is going to be due next year. I don't want you guys to be doing 2 things at once. I can say I will not be on the board next year, regardless of what we do. Lizzie would only have 2 years left. So I'm sort of letting you guys decide. I don't want to just say it needs to be this or that. Sorry.
Harry, what do you think would be useful?
Let me get unmuted here. Sorry. Well, I think there's a couple of things. One, the things we had in place, I think are okay, but I think that we need to put some structure behind the strategic planning. And that's kind of what I put together. So I went out and looked at some stuff that I already had. And then I also was looking for things that were more focused towards schools and especially charter schools. And I found some pretty good information on those. And that's what I put together for that I sent to a REIT. And essentially what it is some blueprint structural things on how to do strategic planning for schools and for charter schools. And it's similar to if you're familiar with like total quality management or those sorts of things, it has that same type of feel, is that, you need to define kind of where you're at, where you want to go, what do the differences look like, kind of things. And so I think what a good starting point would be to sit down and go over a structure like that and say, is this something that would work for us, and kind of envision on, do we use the certain pillars that are in this one, or a certain methodology that's in this one, or modify it to our use. And that would give us a really good starting point to say, okay, we know, what the methodology is, how do we apply that to where we're at right now? Or do we need to gather more data, or are goals specific enough? All those sorts of things that go into strategic planning. So I think it would be a good idea. And in this case, it wouldn't necessarily be strategic planning, but it would be setting up the structure so that we can do it well, and that going forward, anybody else that comes on the board has a really good understanding of it, and it's easy to transfer that information going forward. And we don't wind up with 5 years from now, everybody going through the same process again, trying to get back on the track. So that's my 2 cents worth.
So it seems like it might be helpful to set up maybe another planning session, or another meeting at least, kind of separate from a board meeting, to a regularly scheduled board meeting, to kind of think about it.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Just an hour or so, just to go over, maybe what I found out, and if anybody else has any other thoughts about it, that, at least we can get a good direction going.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have a preferred month or beginning or end of month preference for that? And then maybe Adam, you can send out one of those surveys for meeting dates and times.
Can this be something we do in the new year, with everything coming up in kind of end of October, November, December? It'd be crazy to have this in, but maybe January or February would look better.
I think that makes sense.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, my schedule stays packed, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Emily-
the next couple of months is going to get really busy. So
Yeah.
That's a good point. If you put it on the calendar, I will do my best to try to remember to do it in January, February, but if you happen to remember or put it on the calendar, that would be super helpful.
Maybe I'll put it as an item for us to
Put it on the December.
talk about at December. Yeah.
Thank you.
do you want me to send out the write-up that I have, or do you want to send it out ahead of time so people can look at it? Or
I'm gonna ask you to forward it to everybody on the board.
I can do that. Not a problem.
I'm gonna forget.
No problem. I can do that.
Okay. I added it as a calendar item to talk about it at the December meeting.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so.
Wait, let me make sure that was
never mind.
everything. Sorry, there might have been a couple, maybe 1 or 2 other things. Let me see. Review of UIP, that's done, obviously. Legal training is for follow-up. Send previous quarters board minutes to the district.
Jen has sent everything that has been signed. So you
And
can
then
for that.
whatever we approve tonight,
Rebecca, I
sent.
sign and I scan and then I get it to her, but she is up to date. She had an audit last month anyway, and had to make sure she had everything. We are caught up.
Okay. And then last 2 items, actually only 1 item, gather data for administrator evaluation.
So the way it works is the board, the one and only eval we do is for the administrator. And so one of the reasons that I forward on the Monday memo that she writes for the staff is so everybody on the board can see that. I meet with her weekly. Emily, as the vice president, has access to the confidential board docs, and that includes like Robin's contract and administrator evals and things like that. It stays very closed off, so very few people have eyes on it. We're kind of, I think we're gonna look at the form, get an understanding of things we're looking at, and then the board as a whole will need to go into executive session probably in January or February. I don't want to wait till the very end of the school year. I don't think that is fair if there are things we're looking for her to do before we start talking contracts. So it's something that I'm trying to plan for a little bit as we go down this route. I did not have to do it last year, obviously. I was not a part of the process. Brian did not have one done his last year. He told us he was resigning before it was done. So this is my first year on the board that we're going to do this. I'm trying to give everybody as much information as possible, get some more voices on it. I don't want to do it by myself. Just so people know what we're looking at.
What is the data that we're gathering? Is it just feedback?
Yeah,
from
it's
other board
feedback from
members?
board members, feedback that, you know, just how you think she's doing overall as a principal. There is a specific Montessori administrator evaluation form. She knows that that's what we're going to look at. I've talked with her about some of her goals right at the beginning of the school year, going into this position. So trying to have some of that information. I'm going to look at how past administrator evals were done as well by previous boards. And then we'll all kind of chat about it, obviously before it's presented to her, but in executive session. Questions?
Do we then have something to react to as we're talking through that, or everyone's just providing?
I'm going to try and get some kind of rough draft that can be changed with some preliminary ideas just for talking points and for, you know, just a starting place for us as a board. Because I think if I just say, here's our form, it's blank, I think that's going to be really hard on everybody. And I've had experience meeting with her week after week, making sure that if there were updates that needed to go this way to the board, I send them to you guys, or from the board side to her, giving her regular updates on what's going on with the North Building and budget and checking in on things. It's just what the board president does. So I feel like I have more of a relationship to base off of things that I put in there.
Great, thank you.
So should I just mark that one as ongoing?
Yeah, probably. We should probably pick a month that we want to do that in executive session.
Yeah. Last year
then-
we did it in,
We didn't.
it says complete 9/28/2022. Maybe that's supposed to say 20. I don't know.
Just
Oh,
checked it off
that's-
because that was
That was when.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So do you want me to add that to another board meeting for follow-up?
I think we should do it in February.
February. Okay.
Because as a board, then we negotiate contract. After that.
Okay. I will add it to February's list.
Okay. In the February board meeting, we need to put the executive session
So schedule executive session.
in February. I'll just put it on the agenda.
Yep. That's it.
All right, let's move on and do the minutes from the last two sessions. And Rebecca, I'm just gonna let you lead that. We'll do one and then the other.
All right, so I
Oh, wait,
first need
somebody has to
motion.
make motions, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the board meeting from August 2023.
We've got
Both at
September
once.
19th and October 5th.
I'm sorry, September 19th then. I'd like to make a
We-
motion to approve the minutes for the September 19th meeting, 2023.
Is it possible to motion for both of them and knock this out in one vote?
If everybody was present at both, like as long as it's the same people, but I
Oh,
didn't think it
yeah.
was.
And it was not.
No.
Yeah, sorry. I confer with
Can I
Adam's
get-
initial.
Can I get a second for this one?
I'll second.
All right, Irit,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Mercedes,
Yes.
and a yes, and Ted.
Yes.
Okay, so that one passed. We have the meeting minutes from the October 5th board meeting, so I need someone to motion and someone to second.
Motion that we move to approve the meeting minutes for October 5th board meeting.
Second.
Awesome. Okay, and everybody was at that meeting, so Adam,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Erie,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Mercedes,
Yes.
I'm a yes, Ted,
Yes.
and Terry.
Yes.
All right, that one passed as well. Erie, back to you.
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody on the board for jumping in and helping to take care of different things as we've gone through the first half of this semester. I think everybody has taken on something different, and it's been really helpful not to have to wear all hats at once. So thank you to you guys. Thank you to the teachers for getting to this point. And hopefully everybody has a relaxing fall break and we have decent weather that's nice, but not too hot. I'm kind of sick of 80 degrees. So with that, I'll let somebody motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Sounds good to me. Have a good night, everybody.
Night.
Thanks all. Take care.
We're gonna.
Thank you. Good night.
Right.